Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wolf Den. Here we are. My name's Skip Clark. Y'all know that. And of course, my good friend Drew Baldridge. And if you are a fan to the Wolf, which I know you are, you've seen him in town a few times. And, he went from, I want to say here to like here. And it's so freaking awesome. I don't know if there's anybody that has worked harder at what you do, your craft, your passion, your dedication than you, Drew. How are you, my friend? It's good to see you.
So good to be seen, Skip. Thanks so much for having me
Well,
on here. And
that's
this has
true.
just been man, it's been a whirlwind couple of years for me. And I owe that to country radio. You got y'all playing my first single, She's Somebody's Daughter, and having, an independent number one, which is crazy and very just life changing. And then last year that sent me on tour with Cody Johnson and Bailey
Yeah.
Zimmerman, and we went overseas with Jelly Roll for 20 dates, and now we're gearing up to go out on the road with Luke Bryan this summer, which is just wild.
Yep.
And I owe that all to country radio. You guys gave me a second top 10 with Tough People, which is crazy. Now we have another song y'all are playing called Rebel, and man, I'm just very, very blessed. So thank you.
We know good talent. And when we see somebody like you and somebody working as hard as you deserve to be heard and you deserve everything that is coming your way. I know you're out on tour with Luke because you're going to be right up the road at CMAC. I plan on stopping by and saying hello that day. But, I can remember it wasn't just a couple of years ago. You came out with She's Somebody's Daughter, and we were doing a show, and you drove your vehicle to the venue. You opened up the trunk, you took out your merch, you were selling your merch. I mean, just everything from the very get-go, from the beginning to where you are today.
Well, man, Skip, I grew up on a farm, and it was kind of just do it yourself, figure it out. We didn't have a very rich farm. We drove old tractors, and I watched my grandpa break down at every harvest, and he would be underneath the tractor trying to fix it. And, my brother would be there, and he would be trying to fix it too. And we'd go get a part, and we'd bring it back, and that part wouldn't work. And I always just go back to that of, you just figure it out. You figure it out. And I had my music career very similar to that. I had a record deal for 10 years, and that put out a couple songs. That record company shut down, and it was kind of like, what do I do? And, I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I was going to figure it out, and drove all around the country, just me in a little car and a
You do like backyards?
Yeah, I was playing people's backyards, and hired my own radio staff and funded it with streams of the songs that were coming in on prayers. And people like you would let me play shows, and I would drive up there and hope that I would sell enough merch to pay for my gas to get up the show, and that always worked out. Like I said, now life's very, very different, and having a bus and people and people that I was telling my wife this last night, I have so many people on my crew now that it's not just me, and how overwhelming that is when you start looking at, I was in the studio recording last week, which I'm about to go right now and put vocals on those songs. And I was looking around the room, and I have a producer, and I have this whole band. I have my manager, and I have my booking agent behind me, and I have, my label head that's there, and all these people. And I got overwhelmed and was just like, man, all these people are counting on me, to win. And I have a lot of my band guys were also there, and their salaries, and you just want to win, because I watched whenever we win, everybody wins around you as a team, and you just want everybody around you to have that success with you. And that's been one of the most fun parts of all this, is having your team go with you.
I think back when, you were playing those backyards, and some were right here in central New York. Little do people know, but you were actually in towns like Tully and areas, that surround Syracuse. And people had no idea that was you, but you were doing the backyards. So when you look out now and you see the packed rooms, the amphitheaters, wherever you're playing, it's packed. What's the first thought that hits you?
Oh man, I don't know. It's like when I look down and I see people in backyard shirts, that really hits me differently. I think when I go out there, and when we were overseas and we were playing with Jelly Roll, and it was stadiums of 20,000 people, and I was just, I was so humbled that I got to be in that position. It really hits me of like, wow, I can't believe this is happening, of 14 years of this dream and chasing it. But also I look out and I see a lot of work that I have to do myself, because, these are I want to be the headliners of those places. You know, I look out and I see people that are just discovering me, or I see people that might not know every song I'm playing, and I want them to know every one of them. I want to be Luke Bryan and have 30 number ones, where I can't even play all my number ones, you know, out at a show. And so, you know, I look out and I see, man, I still have work to do, and I have this drive in me still to, you know, if I have to pack up my car and do it all over again by myself, I would, to have another hit, because I just love making music that make people feel something. And, you know, all three of my songs at radio have done that, with Rebel and Tough People and She's Somebody's Daughter. And I just want the music that I'm creating now for everybody to hear it. So I got work to do. I got work to do, Skip. I got to keep
You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it. And I'm loving that. Is there anything, it's kind of a crazy question, but is there anything about those early days that you oddly miss?
Man, yeah, I miss not having opinions. I think, and I know that sounds crazy, because I love my team and I love everybody around me. I'm very thankful for those opinions. But sometimes when it's just you're rolling and you're just like, hey, if this doesn't work, it's on me, you know. But when you're sending songs around and all these things, they're just, everybody's like, I like this one and I like this one, but this one's not my favorite. And then other people like that one too. And then you get in your head and you're like, oh my goodness, which one is good and which one is not? And I think some of those opinions overwhelm me sometimes. And so I do miss that. And I do miss, and I know this sounds crazy, playing people's backyards in a unique way. Like, I'm trying to tell my team, like, give me 10 a year where I can go out and I can just post on socials, pick 10 people.
Oh my God.
Because it makes me realize why I do this. It keeps my heart in line of like, I do this for people. It's not for glamour. It's not for getting fancier trucks or whatever it is. It's like, no, this is like a real discipleship for me. Like, I love seeing what my music does in people's lives and helps them. And so being there with people is totally different than being in an arena, totally different than being in an amphitheater, or even in a club, you know, being one-on-one, seeing a little girl fighting cancer and being able to sing her Tough People is totally different.
Well, you do need to enjoy some of the fruits of your labor, because you're working very hard at what you're doing. And I know you already got Lyric, and now he's going to have a sibling. So, which is what, pretty much almost any day now, correct?
Yeah. We're not doing a lot of touring right now. That's why we're just writing and recording and in the studio, because I'm only going out and playing like one show a week, flying out, flying back, just in case, because we're a month or so away from baby number 2, a month and a half. And, you know, we're another little boy, which is crazy. So we're going to have 2 little boys running around. And my wife is such a rock star for letting me do this, you know, let me travel and be a creator. And this, I really believe that music and this lifestyle is not built for marriages. It's very difficult. And, you know, you can really go down a wrong path of putting music first constantly. So figuring out that balance of life, of getting them out on the road and making sure I'm home enough, making sure I'm out on the road enough is something that I'm still learning.
Don't let it consume you. But I mean, you have to a certain extent, but then again, you've got a great home life. You've got a beautiful home, beautiful wife. You got a little one and another one on the way. Dad needs to be there. So, and you understand that. Talk to me a little bit about Tough People. It hits hard. It doesn't sugarcoat life. I know you're talking about the little girl. You're talking about cancer. How did that song come about?
Man, I went in a writing room with 2 of my favorite songwriter buddies, and Adam Sanders and Jordan Walker. And they've, you know, Adam Sanders also wrote Rebel with me, and Jordan Walker has co-written several songs of mine. And we were sitting down in there, and Adam goes, I've been saving this title for you because I feel like you're living it right now. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, man, you've started your own label. You're up against, you're David versus Goliath. You're in the toughest time of your life. You're in a battle. And he said, it just says tough times, or no, he said hard times. Hard times make tough people. And he said, I just feel like you're super tough right now, man. You've taken shots by every label in Nashville. And he said, I feel like this can relate to you. And Jordan, sitting across from me, he's like, why would you say hard times? Why don't you say tough times make tough people? That makes more sense. And I was like, yeah. I said, this really resonates with me. But I said, we need to make sure that it's not written about, you know, our lives of songwriters or anything. Like my life, my hardships are so small compared to what's really tough out there. And so we sat down and wrote those verses really quick of real struggles that were going on. I mean, we even talk about school shootings in these verses, which I think some people are like, are you sure you can really put that out? And I was like, man, at that time
100%. Yeah.
we had a school shooting right here in Nashville,
Yeah.
at that moment. And I was like, what better way to highlight, to give honor to these people that are running in? I can't do that. I don't have that innate ability when bullets are flying to just go in and say, hey, I'm here to protect. I don't have that, but there's tough people that do, and I can't imagine fighting cancer at 4 years old, but there's tough little girls and boys that do. And we had a big tornado here in Nashville, and I went over to Mount Juliet and I helped, cut up some trees off houses and saw houses completely leveled. And those are tough people, and I wanted to raise them up. And I was so excited when radio got behind this, because a lot of people were telling me it's too real. It's too real. No way these people radio is going to want to play that. It hits home too much. And I was like, man, this is what we need. This is what, I feel like radio and everybody out there actually needs.
It is. And if you can, you grab the heart, I mean, that's half the battle right there. And country music has always been about getting through stuff. And do you feel a responsibility when you write songs like that?
Yeah, I feel a responsibility, especially for our new single Rebel. There's a big responsibility with living the path that I'm preaching, and that is hard, because we're, as a believer and as the path of that singer, you can be a hypocrite really quick, and there's a lot of eyes on you to make sure you're walking right. And we're human, so we don't always walk right. You know what I mean? We struggle. We have paths that sometimes we fall. And so keeping that path of trying to walk in that light where people portray you is sometimes hard and difficult. And but I also feel like these are the messages that God put on my heart that I need to put out into the world. And somebody like Tough People, when people are coming up and they're like, do you have a hard time hearing how these stories are so heavy? And I'm like, but I feel like that's why I'm here, because they need to talk about these stories. They need somebody to lay them out. And, if they're fighting cancer, if they're, lost their dad, or that because of, hey, I listen to She's Somebody's Daughter to cope because my dad's no longer here. Or, I just think, lay it on me, like I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Rebel feels like a live show song. There's just everything about that. With you out there belting it out, it's just, I'm a rebel.
Man,
I love this.
Well, that's why we recorded it and made it the single. I think every time we played it live, it was a standing ovation. I think there was a lot of people that felt this way in the world, that were glorifying wrong things, and it's not political. It's not a political statement of either side.
Right.
I see in the comments where, the left and the right are both saying it's for them, which I think is perfect. That means that we hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, when you look at it that way, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's like, hey, this is about treating people right, showing love, being a good husband, walking away from temptation, being a good role model for your parents. Those are rebel qualities today. And I think too, like, I know I've seen, people get arrested and they get mugshots on their t-shirts and they think it's really cool. And I've always had a hard time with that. And I'm like, why are we glorifying this when there's really good things going on in the world that we could really glorify? And those are rebel qualities right now. And so, I think the hook kind of says it all. If the whole wide world wants to dance with the devil, I guess you could call me a rebel, because I just don't want to, that doesn't get me going. Seeing people do good is what really excites me. And that's what the song is about.
Exactly. And I love that twist on that. It's the way it should be. What is one moment, let's say, in the set that you look forward to when you get out there on stage?
Oh man, singing She's Somebody's Daughter. It's my favorite. It is a blessing. Like watching, I've seen so many parents holding their daughters, big cowboy dads having their little girls in their arms and crying to them, or just a mom and a little girl crying because their dad's no longer there, and just seeing the impact that song has made, and knowing that it came from such a real place from my wife. And some people always, I've had other artists tell me, it's like, man, I get so tired of singing my very first #1 song. It just wears me out. And I'm just like, man, I don't know how. This is like the song that changed everything for me. And so no, I never get tired of it. I love seeing the impact that it's made. And in the set, as soon as I come out there, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could sing She's Somebody's Daughter twice or 3 times because I just love it so much.
And I understand why. And I have 3 daughters, and I remember when that song came out and they asked for pictures of, us that work in radio with our daughters when you were presenting that song. I don't know if it was CRS or it was a concert or it was somewhere, but it was so to watch it go across the back screen with everybody with their daughters. I mean, I'm first to tell you, I bawl like a baby, and I was bawling. So,
well, thanks, Skip. And we were out with Bailey all summer. I had all my fans send in pictures of them and their daughters.
yes,
And
yes.
I put them up behind me on the wall when we sang that song. And it was always special if somebody recognized themselves. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's me and my dad up there. So that's really special.
Exactly. And I remember that show with Bailey. Your wife was with you, and I think Lyric was with you as well. And you brought him out on stage, and that was so awesome, brother. I think I took a picture and I sent it to you. So it was just such a wonderful moment. She's Somebody's Daughter wasn't that with you and your wife in the wedding, right?
Yeah, that video is actually our wedding day, which is crazy to think about. A lot of people was like, did you put on a wedding just for that video? And I was like, no, this was our wedding day, and we had the footage already. And obviously being an independent artist and just trying to figure out an idea, I was like, why don't we her mom sent me a bunch of home videos, and I went through all these home videos and found these spots of Katie as a little girl. And I said, man, how special would that be, going back and forth from her home videos to where she is now as a woman. And also there were some cuts in there of me singing in the studio, singing the song. But It's amazing to see how that video has just reached so many people and been part of so many weddings,
Yep. And it always will. Right. That was a good start. I love that. You've come a long way. When you're standing side stage before you walk out, what do you remind yourself?
Oh, man.
I know I got weird questions.
No, I'm excited, but also, it just depends on the show. There's a lot of different things. Like if you're out there and, the crowd is roaring and there's 12,000 people, to remind myself, like, don't take it for granted, because, you don't know how long you'll get to do this. And I know that probably sounds dark to some people, but I've had record deals. I've lost record deals. I've, been in this journey for a long time to see the roller coaster ride. And so going out and really enjoying that moment of making an impact with my music and really seeing people connect to it is something I love to do. And, there's some shows where you're like, oh man, this is a private gig. I don't know if anybody knows, I'm sitting in the corner with my acoustic guitar. I mean, that still happens, today, where it's like, hey, can you fly up here and play for can you come across the country and play a Super Bowl party where there's going to be a bunch of football players, and really the only songs they're going to know are your hits, but we want you to play for 45 minutes, just you and a guitar. And you're like, oh my goodness. Like, then you got to prepare mentally totally different,
Right.
Going in and saying, okay, well, I got to be an entertainer here, and I really got to turn it on and figure out how I'm going to make these people laugh and smile and feel something all at the same time.
Yeah. Quickly, I know I got to let you go here, but the best part of tour life and what's the worst part of tour life?
Oh, man. The best part now is traveling in a bus. Like, I did 14 years in a van, which was the worst part of touring. Like
40 Conaline van.
Breakdowns is the worst part of touring. And I would put myself out there as the most breakdowns in country music history. I mean, I had so many breakdowns when I had a van and a trailer, and I'd be on the side of the road changing tires and dealing with, oh my goodness, so many issues of my old van, of just constant breakdowns. And so driving myself 3 a.m., to the next gig and waking up and no sleep. And so now being able to play a show and just get back there in my bed and lay down. Oh my goodness, there's nothing like that.
With that being said, bus or hotel?
Bus for sure, because everything's there. It's a house. It's your second house. You leave everything in the back. I have a closet. It's definitely bus life. Even when we fly dates and we do hotels, I'm always like, Oh, I missed the bus because it's a constant green room too. Because wherever you're at, you have your space, and
Yeah. I
they're
love
expensive, but it's good to have.
It's good to have, and you deserve it, and you've got it, and you're making it work. And I know we're going to see you out. You're up here this summer, and hopefully everything will be good with the family. You're going to have another little boy. And do you have a name picked out? Wait a minute.
Man.
Wait, whoa. Weren't you just putting it out there online? Did I see a Facebook hit? Okay.
Yeah, we were just like, hey, we're struggling. Lyric is such a cool name, and everybody was always like, well, you can't name your second kid anything like just Henry or whatever. Nothing against Henrys, but just something that's like very basic, because it's got to be, everybody thinks it needs to be music related or something starts with an L. And so we've been struggling. We got a couple options, but last night I posted and was just like, hey, throw your names in the comments. Let's see what we can
Did you jump on AI and just kind of throw it in there and see what it comes up with?
Oh yeah, nothing yet. We've tried it all, man. We've thrown it out there to every AI system there is, and nothing come back that we're excited about.
I think we need to do a little bit of a contest to name your second little boy.
There we go. I like it. I like it.
There you go. Drew, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know we went a little bit over, but I want to thank you for taking the time. It's always good to see you, my friend. I know we became friends a while ago, and I see what you're doing out there, and I'll drop you a text every so often. My little guy, Zach, a big fan. You've seen pictures of him. It's just, life is so wonderful. You're so blessed. I'm so blessed, and we're doing what we love. And I just wish you much success, and I'm going to see you real soon, I'm sure. So
I can't wait, brother. Appreciate you, bud.
Yeah, maybe at CRS. You're going to be bouncing around?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, I'll see you there.
We'll have a drink.
All
right. There you go.
See you soon.
Drew Baldridge, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Drew, have a great day.